I was called into my manager's office after she said, "We're reassigning your role, it's not a demotion, just a better fit for your skill set." When I asked why, she smiled and said, "You've got great energy, but you don't really lead, you support. That's valuable too." I nodded, then asked if I could forward one email before leaving. She said, "Sure, as long as it's not another complaint." I forwarded the one where she said, "I'm taking her team, she won't even see it coming." Turns out I wasn't the only one she'd set up. I'm Drew, 37, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've worked in marketing for over a decade, and until recently, I was a senior account manager at a mid-sized agency called Levant Creative. It wasn't glamorous, but I was good at what I did. I wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but I knew how to lead people, manage clients, and hit numbers. That should have been enough. It wasn't. This all started about 8 months ago, when Melissa Jameson came into the picture. She was hired in as our new VP of Strategy. Came from some big Atlanta firm. Sharp suits, practiced smile, walked around like she owned the place 2 days in. I'd seen people like her before, talked big, made changes fast, didn't listen much. Still, I wanted to give her a fair shot. I believed people earned their titles. Melissa didn't. At first, she stayed out of my way. My team handled 2 of the biggest accounts in the company. We had good numbers, strong retention, and tight relationships with the clients. I had built that team myself. Every person on it was someone I trained, coached, and trusted. We weren't perfect, but we worked hard and stuck together. That meant a lot to me. Then Melissa started making small changes. She pulled me from a few cross-department meetings and said she wanted to streamline communication. That didn't sound terrible. Until I realized I was being cut out of conversations about my own accounts. I asked about it, and she just waved it off like it wasn't a big deal. Next, she moved one of my top performers, Clara, to help on a side project she was leading. Said it was temporary. A week later, Clara wasn't coming to our stand-ups anymore. When I checked in with her, she said Melissa told her she was reporting directly to her now. I asked Melissa about it. She smiled and said, "She's just helping on something bigger picture. You'll get her back." I never did. Then another team member, Eli, got reassigned to something called a cross-brand alignment task force. I'd never heard of that. Melissa said she was testing some new strategies and needed flexible people. I knew what that meant. She was pulling my team apart one person at a time. I went to HR. Told them I didn't understand the direction things were heading, and I was concerned my role was being minimized. They told me restructuring was normal. That I shouldn't take it personally. "You're still in a leadership role," they said. That wasn't a lie, yet. 2 weeks later, I got called into Melissa's office. Monday morning. The kind of day you hope flies by. I knew something was off the second I walked in. She had this fake smile plastered on, like a kid pretending to be sorry. "Drew," she said, folding her hands in front of her. "We're reassigning your role." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" "It's not a demotion," she said quickly. "We just think this new position fits your skill set better. Less leadership, more execution focused. You're a great support player. You've got great energy, but you don't really lead. You support. That's valuable too." I sat there in silence for a second. My stomach dropped. It wasn't just a change. It was a hit. I had led that team for 3 years. She'd taken everything I'd built and handed it off to someone else. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Can I send one last email before I go?" She laughed. "Sure. As long as it's not another complaint." So I opened my laptop. Found the email I'd been sitting on for 2 weeks. I hadn't meant to get it, Melissa had forwarded it to someone but added my name to the CC by accident. Maybe she was in a rush. Maybe she thought I wouldn't see it. Subject line, she won't even see it coming. In the body, she wrote, I'm taking her team. She's good, but too soft. Won't fight back. By next quarter she'll be in support. Won't even see it coming. Except there was no her. She meant me. My name was on the original thread. The timelines lined up. The team shift, the role change, the reassignment. It all matched. She didn't even try to hide it. I forwarded it straight to HR. Attached project documents, pitch decks, meeting notes, timestamps, and proof of every idea she had passed off as hers. I copied in the regional director. I made sure the date on the email was clear, and I added one line at the top, thought this might clarify some of the restructuring confusion. Then I shut my laptop, stood up, and left her office. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to. After I left her office, I didn't go home. I didn't go to my desk either. I walked straight to the HR floor. I wanted to see their faces when they read that email. I wasn't angry, I was calm. Ice cold. Marcia, the HR manager, looked up when I walked in. She'd been polite but useless every time I tried to raise concerns. I just forwarded you something, I said. She blinked. Oh? About your reassignment? Not exactly, I said. Check your inbox. She pulled it up right there. I watched her expression change. First confusion, then surprise. Then her lips pressed into a flat line. She read it again. Scanned the attachments. Finally looked back up at me. Where did this come from? She asked. She sent it to me by mistake, I said. 2 weeks ago. I'd been waiting. Marcia didn't say much. She asked me to step outside and wait. So I sat in the hallway for nearly 20 minutes. When she came back, she looked pale. Told me they were launching a formal internal review and that I'd be placed on paid leave while they looked into it. Paid leave. That was fine by me. I went home. Didn't tell my wife much at first. Just that work got messy and I needed some time to figure it out. I was more embarrassed than anything. I'd let that woman walk all over me. Pretended it didn't bother me. I didn't want pity. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Eli, one of my former team members. His voice was low, like he didn't want to be overheard. Hey, Drew. Did you send something to HR? I paused. Why do you ask? Because Melissa just got pulled into a private meeting. Word going around is that someone reported her for misconduct. There's a fire starting here, man. Good, I said. She started it. But I wasn't done yet. The email was just the first piece. I spent the next 2 days gathering everything, every project she hijacked, every time she took credit in a company-wide email, every meeting I was suddenly cut from. I wrote out a full timeline. I listed the staff she pulled from my team and how their projects suddenly became hers. I showed where she used my exact words from internal presentations and outside pitches. I also made some calls. A client named Mark who I'd worked with for years had stopped returning my calls about 2 months back. I finally reached him and asked if everything was okay. You tell me, he said. Melissa said you were transitioning off the account. That you recommended she take over directly. I didn't say anything for a second. Then I told him the truth. Not only did I not recommend that, I wasn't even told. He was pissed. He told me she'd changed parts of the campaign without consulting him and that he felt like he was being sold something shiny without substance. 2 days later, he emailed my HR contact and pulled his account until Melissa was no longer involved. That started a domino effect. Another client followed suit. And another. Turns out I wasn't the only person Melissa had messed with. She'd made enemies on other teams too. People were just too scared to speak up, until they saw someone else do it first. Now it wasn't just an internal review. It was client complaints, lost revenue, and half the office whispering every time she walked by. Then came the leak. Someone in HR must have said something, because that email, the one where she said I wouldn't even see it coming, got out. Not just to senior staff, but to the entire floor. People printed it. Pinned it in break rooms. I saw a copy folded into someone's notebook on a coffee run. Melissa stopped smiling. She stopped walking around like she owned the place. But even then, she didn't admit anything. Not yet. A week after the email leak, Melissa stopped showing up to the office every day. At first, people thought she was traveling. Then the whispers started, people saying she was working remotely while the investigation played out. But nobody bought that. HR was quiet. Too quiet. I wasn't getting updates. I was still on paid leave, stuck at home refreshing my email every hour. I was pacing my living room, trying not to lose my mind. I felt like I'd lit the fuse on a stick of dynamite, but the damn thing wouldn't go off. Then something strange happened. I got a call from Clara, the first person Melissa had taken from my team. I don't know what you sent them, she said, but things are weird here. Weird in a bad way. What do you mean? She's trying to shift blame. She's saying we all collaborated on some of the project ideas. That we signed off on the strategy documents. My stomach dropped. What? She's saying you weren't involved in those early campaigns. That she stepped in because you were behind schedule. That she had to take over. It was a lie. A full rewrite of what really happened. She's got folders, Clara said. Emails she printed. Documents she's twisting. She's trying to make it look like you were barely managing anything. I felt sick. She wasn't just trying to dodge blame. She was setting me up as the fall guy. I thanked Clara and hung up. That night I went through my personal backups, old PDFs, calendar invites, screenshots of Slack conversations, even texts. Every message where Melissa praised my leadership, where she thanked me for keeping things on track, where she called me the only one in this building with a real plan. I compiled them into a drive. Labeled everything clearly. Dates, times, context. Then I went further. I remembered something Melissa had said months ago during a lunch and learn. She joked about how her old firm was so easy to fool because they never read the full campaign books she submitted. It stuck with me. I looked up her old company. A few clicks and LinkedIn searches later, I found someone named Natalie, former creative director at Melissa's old firm. I messaged her. Told her I had a question about a shared former colleague. She responded within the hour. Melissa? Wow. That name takes me back. What's up? I asked if she'd ever had issues with Melissa stealing work. The reply came fast, all the time. She'd rebrand old pitches and present them as new. Took a whole product launch strategy from one client and used it for a completely different one 2 years later. When I confronted her, she said, "No one remembers this stuff. Just make it look new." That was the pattern. She didn't just steal my work, she did this everywhere. With Natalie's permission, I forwarded her statement to HR. I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was digging a hole Melissa couldn't climb out of. The final twist before everything cracked open? A junior staffer named Brian, quiet kid, kept to himself, walked into HR with a USB stick. Said Melissa had asked him to delete some shared folder backups a few weeks ago. To save storage, she told him. He didn't delete them. That drive had backups of the original pitch decks with my metadata, my authorship, and my notes in the margins. The version Melissa claimed to have created? Timestamped after my original files. She'd copied and rebranded them. It was over. But nobody knew it yet. 2 weeks after Brian turned over that USB drive, I got an email from HR. The subject line, Final Review Findings, Immediate Action Notification. I opened it with shaking hands. The message was short and cold. Drew, after a full internal investigation, including external validation of submitted materials, we found no fault or negligence in your work. All claims made against your leadership and project involvement were proven false. Melissa Jameson is no longer with Levant Creative, effective immediately. We would like to formally offer you your previous role back, with full back pay and a retention bonus. Please let us know if you wish to accept. I read it 3 times before I breathed again. I'd won. But I didn't feel good. Not yet. Not until I saw the fallout with my own eyes. A day later, a friend at the office sent me a video clip. Someone had filmed Melissa cleaning out her desk. She didn't talk to anyone. Just dumped folders into a box, shoved her framed Woman of Strategy award on top, and left without saying a word. She looked smaller than I remembered. What nobody knew, yet, was that her reputation outside Levant was already crumbling. Remember Natalie, the woman from Melissa's old firm? She shared our email thread with others from their Atlanta office. Word got out. People started talking. Screenshots started floating around, proof of repeated plagiarism, credit theft, and team sabotage from her past. It didn't take long before someone posted anonymously on LinkedIn, attaching redacted versions of Melissa's old strategies side by side with mine. It went viral in the marketing world. Melissa became a quiet punchline. A cautionary tale. But I wasn't done. I didn't take my job back. I took the retention bonus and negotiated a severance package instead. With help from a lawyer, I made it clear they were lucky I didn't file a public complaint or sue. HR agreed. They wanted it to disappear, and I wanted out. I used the payout to take a month off. Rented a cabin in Asheville. Brought my dog. Cleared my head. When I came back, I didn't return to agency work. Instead, I started consulting. Quiet, high-paying, and solo. No team politics. No bosses stealing ideas. Just me and the work. A few months later, I got a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter. We're looking to rebuild leadership at a growing agency in Atlanta. We saw your story and we're impressed. Are you open to relocating? I laughed when I read it. Attached was the job listing. The title? Vice President of Strategy. Melissa's old job. Full circle. I didn't take it. I didn't need to. I already had what I wanted. My name was cleared. My work was mine again. And the woman who thought she could erase me? She's now a ghost in the industry, doors quietly closed, calls unanswered, no seat at the table. Turns out, I wasn't the one who didn't lead. She was. And everyone saw it, too late for her, just in time for me.